If you're anything like me, you've probably seen the negative sentiment that's come from consumer surveys in terms of job growth, worries about inflation, worried about future prospects, etc., etc. More people today are uncertain about their financial futures and if they can even achieve these financial goals in general. One of the biggest reasons I made a YouTube channel was to talk about the importance of investing. Yes, I may look young, but I firsthand have experienced the benefits of investing, and I've been privileged enough to see family members who have actually achieved pretty good life success based on their investing standards and their commitment to it. Since my time pursuing formal education on investing, I've actually seen countless more stories that are either of public note, such as the professionals we all know and love, or just seeing things about individuals who made investing a priority and it ended up benefiting them significantly and changing their life around. A lot of these stories kind of shared similar things, namely the power of compound interest and how that played effect into generating financial freedom. However, the financial landscape has evolved and changed. If you're a younger person at all in my age bracket or even slightly older than me, or potentially even younger, depending on who watches this video, you've probably seen different news stories, a lot of different opinions be thrown at you about your odds of owning a home, your odds of even getting Social Security, your odds of even achieving what many would consider the financial goals of just living an American dream, whatever that may mean. You've probably seen negative sentiment after negative sentiment, and it's caused a lot of uncertainty. And I won't sugarcoat it, these are absolutely valid concerns. For example, on Social Security, we have a large portion of Social Security that is basically set to evaporate by 2032, that being the old age and survivors insurance. When this evaporates in, again, the end of 2032, it's essentially going to reduce payments by 22%. And that's just one example of one of the things that's going to be hitting Social Security before someone in my age bracket even has the hopes of retiring. There are questions in terms of if we'll see it at all for people in my age group by the time we try and retire. Additionally, on the concerns of owning a house one day, basically home ownership in every single approach has gotten significantly more expensive, actually outpacing inflation. Essentially, what I'm trying to get at is that investing is no longer an option. It's essentially become a requirement to actually achieving your financial freedom and accomplishing your life goals. The way I see it, you have two options. The first option, you can just point out these flaws, and yes, they are flaws, and yes, it might be unfair relative, but you can just point them out and hope that one day something changes. Or my second option, you can understand that the game has changed. Yes, there are flaws. Yes, there are likely to continue to be flaws, but you can bank on yourself. You can delay instant gratification and you can start investing for your financial future. Yes, help may eventually come. There may be legislation changes, or there might be something that helps to ease some of the pressures I touched on earlier, but the consequences of just hoping that something changes and then having no change could be absolutely detrimental for your future life. Now, I'm going to do something that I greatly wish every single classroom got exposed to, and I think is a reason why a lot of people haven't actually invested. I'm going to be showing you the power of compound interest. Our brains fundamentally struggle to actually grasp onto the concept of compound interest. It's the weird phrase 10 plus 10 equals 21. You look at them and you're confused, but what you'll see is that small things over time can actually lead to something much bigger. Additionally, we live in a time where constant action is pushed in all sorts of media and kind of taught in all essences of our life. The early bird who is constantly doing stuff is the one that gets the worm, or you have to continually put in effort and strive to do things. Again, every single media story has this kind of narrative. And even if we just look at investing right now and the state of investing, you have things like crypto pump and dumps, you have influencers who are telling you about day trading and doing all of these options and trying to sell courses, and everything just screams constant action and get rich quick. But that isn't actually how you're going to make a successful future for yourself. The odds of winning those games are horrible, whereas the odds of playing the long term investment game are really quite something. So, we're going to play a little game, and I'll show you kind of the importance and the power of compound investing. I'm going to throw in a $10,000 initial deposit, and I'm going to give it 30 years. 30 years for me would be a great time to retire a little bit earlier than maybe most people could retire. And I'm going to get an estimated rate of return of 8% a year. So basically all stocks, taking a conservative estimate, if the S&P 500 in the past 20 years has done about 10% and basically since the 60s has done close to 11%, I feel pretty confident that we could pick up at least 8%. What, with zero other contributions whatsoever, what value do you think that $10,000 is going to be in 30 years? Now, if you've thought about this before, you might have guessed a number similar to this, but for many of you, this is going to be quite eye opening. If you guessed $100,000, a 10x just from parking in $10,000, which, yes, at one time can sound like a lot, but if you were scraping and preparing for multiple years, it could be reasonable. And zero other contributions, $100,000 in 30 years. Most people, that is mind blowing to them. Now, pointing this out, just in case you're not seeing what's really going on here, again, our total principal, it's that 10,000 the entire time. But what you're going to see by actually going ahead and starting like now, so for me, this 30 years of growth would assume, oh, if I'm 22 right now, then in 30 years, when I'm 52, I'll have $100,000 just from this $10,000 investment, assuming 8% a year. And what you'll see is the pace of this as we go further on. This is kind of the power of compound interest and why it's so cool. The longer of a runway you have, the faster it's going to be growing at. So, for instance, if we were to just throw in an additional 5 years just to show you this in real time, it's going to make a significant jump just adding 5 years. We almost got an additional $50,000 just by waiting another 5 years. This is why I'm talking about why you want to be investing as early as possible. Now I'll run you through another kind of realistic scenario. What if you made your $10,000 deposit for your 30 years, right? But this time you made an emphasis to throw in $100 a month additionally, just every single month adding $100, which for the average US salary is less than 2% annually. So, pretty realistic, pretty easy goal, still a lot less than the 10% you recommended. But yapping aside, what do you think that would do? How about over double what you would have gotten? Again, when we look at our actual contributions for this, we've made $46,000 in actual contributions, and we've almost netted 200 grand just from interest alone. This is the power of compound investing. Now, this is going to be the final little exercise of proving my point. If we take the average salary, again, around $63,000, keeping it very rounded, if we take the average US salary, right, and we make our 10% a year into our investments that basically any financial planner, any guideline is going to tell you to do, what do you think that would do for you? How about make you almost a millionaire? Is that something that seems almost far-fetched to you? The idea that you could potentially be a millionaire by sacrificing and putting in money into investments? And mind you, this doesn't even assume wage growth or that you make your way up and through the career ladder and eventually 10% of your income is much higher than what it would be making $63,000 a year. This is just if you stayed at $63,000 a year and you hit your 10%, and you made sure to hit your 10%, you would essentially put in a lifetime about $200,000 and get about $840,000 at the end of it to kind of show. And for a lot of people, they could probably make this work. I mean, yes, you if you want to throw it out a little bit longer even and do instead of retiring slightly early at 52, say let's do 40 instead. At 62, when you want to retire, you're a millionaire. Is that not insane? Imagine the amount of people who would start investing early on if, in a classroom setting, they were just shown this once. I think for most reasonable people, they'd look at this and they'd understand that being a millionaire isn't this far fetched concept that's impossible to happen. It can essentially just become a reality. And again, we haven't done something crazy here. These are pretty conservative estimates all the way around. The estimated rate of return is lower than what we've historically gotten, and it leaves you wiggle room. The contribution amount assumes zero growth in your income or anything. Now, on the flip side, if you do unfortunately what most people do, they push it off, they push it off, they push it off, and then eventually they get to a point where they don't have much in available savings or investments, and they realize they want to retire at some point. That same winning formula we kind of created, that 10% on the average US salary with an initial investment of $10,000, if you're only giving it 20 years to compound, look at this. It is significantly less. Again, preaching on the larger the runway, the more opportunity you have. If you're looking at this and you're kind of on the fence right now about making investing a cornerstone of your financial future, this should be all the evidence you need. You want as much of a runway as possible. And if you even don't have this type of runway, I don't want this to be a moment to be like, oh, well, I should have done it earlier, so I guess I'm good enough not just doing it. Any positive return, any good amount of interest that lets you get to your financial freedom, you should try and take advantage of that. I just want this to be an emphasis that this isn't a thing to postpone. It's not a thing to go easy on and be like, hey, maybe I'll try and time it when the market's really low and I'll just sit here and wait. Because a lot of people, if they delay it long enough, it's just like dieting or losing weight, where it's so easy to be like, yeah, I'll start that next week, or I can't really this month, I'll do that next week. And if you're someone who you can understand, hey, when I say I'll do it next week, I'm going to actually make sure I clean it up and do it next week, then go for it. But a lot of people aren't. And yes, based on what you just saw, investing, even when you set it aside and do that, it's not necessarily going to be your one size fits all for generational wealth, right? It's not, I wouldn't try and come into it with the expectation that you're going to be a gajillionaire, you're going to have the Ferrari, you're going to have the super yacht. But here's the thing, for most people, their goals aren't to be insanely super wealthy. It is to live a good life with friends and meaningfulness and good relationships. It's to be able to work in a field they really enjoy and show up to work and actually be happy with what they're doing and feel like they contribute to society. And it's to one day eventually be able to retire and not have to worry about, oh, am I going to starve and go hungry when I'm 85 or something? And investing can absolutely get you to that life, just as I kind of showed with the compound interest. If you're taking an investor mindset and you're delaying gratification, the instant wins right now, the spending your money on cheap things that'll fulfill you for 15 minutes or whatever, if you are sacrificing those things and instead trying to better your future, I mean, just imagine the other parts of your life that can improve when you kind of adopt that investor lifestyle. When you invest into your health and you sacrifice the things that taste the best absolutely ever to having those every once in a while, instead trying to focus on eating well and taking care of yourself. If you prioritize your sleep and actually making sure that you function fully throughout the day. If you prioritize good relationships over just cheap instant fulfillment and gratification. These are the types of things that can happen. And I'm not saying that, oh, when you start investing, suddenly the rest of your life is going to be incredible. I'm saying that the mindset gains you receive by being someone who can delay gratification can actually start showing improvements in other areas of your life where you've kind of proven that, hey, if I give up the easiest possible thing and maybe seek investing into my education, picking up certifications, picking up maybe it's a MBA or something to kind of up your game and jump the field. Whatever the case may be, investments can kind of come in all shapes and sizes, and just starting that path can help your life immensely. Overall, it's really important for me to have this not just be a thing you listen to and get inspiration once from and move on. This, in and of itself, is a call for action. I've shown you that the more time you can have, the better the results you are going to get, especially when it comes to investing. And I will dare to say that you will achieve more of your life goals, have more financial freedom and measurably financial freedom in plenty of ways, and probably have a better quality of life when you start kind of adopting an investor mindset, when you delay the instant gratification and instant wins for this long-term success. Overall, I just wanted to thank you for checking out my video. I really appreciate you spending your time watching this, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.